As a Texan, we have been having to take the brunt of this, which really is a federal responsibility to secure our border and protect our communities. And so the state's trying to have to figure out what to do about this. And so, of course, the busing to Washington, D.C. gets all the attention, but it's one of a number of provisions really meant to, I think, show that this really is a federal issue and that it's really unfair that Texas has to continue to be the ones to take the brunt and to carry the weight of this for the entire nation. And so anything that can be done, the Constitution provides for states to be able to protect themselves in light of an invasion. It's Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3 provides for states to have that kind of authority when we're in imminent danger. And we definitely are. We've seen 2 million people in the last year under this Biden administration. And when we look at Title 42 potentially being removed, and that's what the order has come down that's going to happen. Of course, there's court cases to fight against that, and we're trying to get some legislation through Congress to stop that. But should that continue, all expectations are that the floodgates would open, and this would get dramatically, exponentially worse.
Title 42 has to do with public health initiatives and a public health threat that was put in place for the pandemic purposes. That is being lifted by this administration, specifically also the CDC. Al Jazeera reporting as Title 42 winds down, aid groups prepare for a shift at the U.S. border. The shift is 18,000 more coming over each month. Clearly, CBP already talks about this in plain English. They can't handle what they're seeing now. They're overloaded. That's why they're sending them to other states at this point. When Title 42 ends, when those that are sending illegal migrants over the border find out that this one tool that was being utilized is now being pulled back, you're going to see more crossings. What happens at that point? Do you finally see DHS Secretary Mayorkas step up? Do you see President Biden step up on a federal level?
I wish we could say yes, but unfortunately what we've seen is that they seem to want open borders. We actually met the Border Caucus with Secretary Mayorkas this week, and he seemed to wash his hands clean of this Title 42 issue. Didn't want to even reach out to CDC to talk about what the ramifications on the border would be, and just completely abdicated responsibility for it, which is tragic considering that his job is to protect the homeland. And I've taken a number of trips to the border in the last year and before that, and this last year, especially under the Biden administration. What we'd hear over and over again from the boots on the ground is that the only thing holding any sort of a semblance of border security in place was Title 42. And to have this removed, especially at a time where we still have COVID restrictions on Americans who travel throughout the country, it's duplicitous. And then the secrecy at which this administration continues to act, doing drops of migrants into communities overnight with no coordination with local officials, with anything else going on. It's diabolical what this administration is putting on Texas, but also putting on the rest of this nation.
You still have to wear a mask when you're traveling with public transportation. Toddlers in some areas still have to wear a mask while they're in school. And yet again, so if public health initiative still stays in place in certain areas in our country, but not at the border on May 23rd when Title 42 expires. I'll show you these numbers really quick, Congressman, too, just to hone in on your point and your visits to the border of just how many have the CBP encountered already. 2021, 173,000. Keep in mind, this is when the Biden administration came in. That's the final tally there in March, by the way. Look at this now in 2022. Continues to go up. These are preliminary numbers, 218,000. And now they're talking about even more coming over again. Your thoughts just looking at this and seeing these numbers continue to rise?
Well, and if you note, that's the encounters. That doesn't include the gotaways, which continue to get more and more. And so we have 160 countries that have been present. We're seeing, continue to see cartel members, continue to see terrorists come across. Right now we're seeing an influx of, you hear about the Ukrainians, but there's 7 times more Russians that we're encountering at the border in the last couple months. And, what's happening at the border, this administration continues to allow this to happen. And anytime you're implementing policy where the cartels are like, yay, let's gear up our machine, and they're looking forward to how to make money on this and what they can do to maximize their profits on the lives of abusing humans that are coming across our border, maybe that's the wrong policy. And so we need to take a strong stance at securing our border. We are a welcoming nation. we're all at some point immigrants, but there's a legal way to do it and an illegal way to do. And this administration continues to put more restrictions on citizens and open up the floodgates for illegal aliens. We continue to promote lawlessness and continue to seemingly put more restrictions on people who are law-abiding citizens. It's time to get this place back to a law and order. Time to get us back to those functioning principles that make a healthy society.
I'll let you go on this final point here. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki confirming that the Biden administration is indeed giving out cell phones to those crossing illegally. Now, they're given out so that they can contact ICE. There's no enforcement of it, but that's the justification for giving out all the cell phones to everyone coming over the border. Just your thoughts on that. I'll close.
Well, it's one of those things that I think with the American people doesn't even pass the smell test. I'm sure there's a lot of Americans who would also like a free phone who have not broken the law to come into this country. And look, what we know is 90% of the people who are given a court date don't show up. 90% of the people who show up, roughly, their asylum claim is false. And so even one of the issues that we talked to Secretary Mayorkas, everybody keeps talking about credible fear. Yeah. The vast majority, it's not credible. We know that at the point they cross the border. And so really, this is federal responsibility to take care of these issues. Texas is having to, figure out what to do with it to put this kind of on the radar of the federal government. But when it comes down to it, it's our job to step up and secure our border. This White House needs to do something about it.
Congressman Michael Cloud of Texas joining us live. Congressman, good to see you, and thank you for your time.
Good to see you. Good morning. God bless.